But if you could for a moment, I would like everyone just to take a deep breath. That's how I like some. And while your eyes are closed, I would like for you to imagine a moment, to take a moment with your eyes closed, and I want you to think of that moment in your career, and in your career when you found yourself down to the last couple of minutes, whether you were, you played a sport, or you were on the basketball court, you were on the soccer field, football, whatever sport that touched your heart, and you were down to the last moments, and you're in the final, and the ball is in your court, and inside of you, you hold the winning game. Imagine that moment and what it took to get there, all the challenges, the late night practices, the critiques from the coaches, all of those. And while you're in this moment, I want you to think about all the animosity that you get there, and with that mindset. And then and then you score the final goal. You score, you open your eyes and you make it. Now open your eyes. And I want you to look to the person to the left, and you say to that person, you are a winner. And you look to the person to your right and you say, you are a winner. And in that moment, how does that make you feel? Now, for me, that makes me feel amazing, because I tell my students every day, and my players, I go, you are winners. You are winners. So already I'm starting with a good feeling. I feel good. And that is the legacy that I wanted to leave as a coach. And that's the legacy that I remember that my coaches left on me. And when I think back over the times of the coaches that, are in my life, the one that I look to now, I mean, I can't help but say that God got himself an angel a few weeks ago when we lost the great Pat Summitt. I remember watching her when I was growing up, and my mama would take me to the basketball games. That was our thing. Me and my mama would go on dates to the basketball games. And I remember watching Coach Summitt, and I would look at my mom, and I'm like, one day I'm going to play for her, mama, or one day I want to be like her. Because I noticed how she really was there for her players. She gave that feeling of nurturing. She was a mother, but she was tough, and she was disciplined. And I noticed on the players' faces that they wanted to do better. They wanted to play. They wanted to give everything that they had, all their efforts to do this. And I was like, Mom. And I remember leaving the game and wanting to go back and play the same way for my coach. I wanted to go back and say, you know what, Coach, I saw this player, and this is where I wanted to go. I wanted to play for Pat Summitt. So I had a goal, I had an intention, and that's where I was going. And I was like, this is what I can do. So today in PCA, the wonderful PCA, they speak about 3 different principles that they have. Honoring the 3 principles. It's honoring the game. You have the elm tree, and then you have I'm losing one right now, but it's okay, because right now we're gonna speak on honoring the game. I want to speak about honoring the game. And when I think of honoring the game, and what does that mean to me, there's so many things that come up. And in the PCA, we break it down. So we go to the next slide.
Yep.
That's okay.
That one?
Yeah, I can't see it now. You had it big before, but now you're big.
If you click on this slide, the little box at the bottom, it'll make it big for you.
Oh, there we go. So in the honoring the game, we break down what does it mean to honor the game, and we break it down in one word called roots. And R meaning rules, O meaning opponents, the other O meaning officials, T meaning teammates, and S meaning self. And if you're like me, I like to do the reverse, and I like to start with self. Because not only am I honoring the game, but I must honor myself. And if I live like as the example, if I honor myself and love myself, then that makes me have a winning attitude where I will honor my teammates, I'll honor the officials, I'll honor the opponents, and I will honor the rules. Because I believe that we are all starting examples. We're examples with ourselves. It starts with ourselves. And when I look at my favorite coach that I've been speaking about, Pat Summitt, she honored herself. She walked with integrity. She was a queen, and she honored her players. And I saw, and one of my favorite players that she honors that I watch now is Candace Parker. Like, Candace Parker honors herself, she honors her teammates, she honored the officials, the opponents, and the rules. And so when I look at what type of coach that I wanted to be, or what type of player that I wanted to be, I look at the Tennessee Vaults, and I'm like, this is a prime example, because when you're able to take the rules, opponents, official, teammates, and self, what it means honoring the game, and you're able to put it into life. And not only are you honoring the game, but you're honoring the game of life. And those two, to me, are so important, because once you walk out of the gym or you walk off the field, you're back to life again. You're back to real life, and you're like, I've learned that my coach has taught me how to honor the game, and now how to honor myself. I remember one day, if we speak of self, and I was feeling down, and I had a really bad game, and it just, nothing would work out for me. I like, just nothing. I wasn't making any points. I was, my teammates and I weren't getting along, and I was really beating myself up, which, by the way, I'm sometimes the worst critic on myself. How many of you guys you're your worst critic? Do you ever feel that way, Kelly, that you're your worst critic? How about you, Ruben?
Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes.
Yeah, well, you're the worst critic. And so I wasn't honoring myself, and I remember my coach coming to me, and he just came to me simply, and he spoke to me, and he said, you know what, we all have bad games. We all have really bad games, and you just got to remember what it is, that why you're playing and what you're doing, and you will get better. But just remember to love yourself. We beat ourselves up so much. I want for you to take a moment where you look at your the person next to you, and you take a moment and try to think of that time when you were like, you know what, I didn't. If you had a bad game or whatever, what is one thing that your coach said to you, or your teammate said to you, that was able to just put you back into that groove again? Can you remember one time, Ruben, when you were just like having one of those things, and maybe your coach said something, or your teammate said something where you were like, okay, and they made you honor yourself?
Quite honestly, I need more time to think, but because what came to mind was one time when I was playing high school volleyball, and I wasn't playing very well, and the coach yelled at me, and so I did not get. Although he kind of looked like Pat Summitt when I watch her on TV.
Yeah.
He was yelling at me, and to me it didn't feel very supportive and helpful, and I actually did not play better.
Yes. Okay. So you know what, and we have those examples too, because sometimes when we expect something from coaches, and we're looking for them to build us up, and they may not give us the reaction, and I agree with you. I remember watching sometimes, even though I love her, but I can relate and say I understand where you're coming from, where I watched Pat, and I was like, man, she's tough. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't make me feel like I want to play better. And so what is that inside? And so what we have to work on is, then that's where we rely on ourselves, but also our teammates, because maybe your coach has, coaches have so much that they're dealing with, and that you're like, okay, I can't think of it at time, or they're not delivering it in the way that you want them to. But then you look for your teammates, and your teammates is like, you know what, maybe the coach didn't really mean it like this, but they could have said it this way, or maybe they did it this way, or this is what she really meant. And so that could have been an example as well. So yes, I really thank you for showing us the other side of it, Ruben, that show that it's not always peaches and cream. And so while we're speaking of rules and opponents, I want to can we go to the next slide, Kelly?
Sure.
Yes. So this was a good segue into, so you're saying, like, let's say that your coach is having an off night, he's yelling, or not doing well, and then now you have the opponents the officials who've given you a bad call, and you're like, how am I going to handle this? Like, the officials, I have everything that's on me, and you're now in the final moments, but the officials make a bad close, and you've noticed that everything is beginning to just fall down. Like it seems, like they say, like one bad apple, like everything is just coming at you at one time, one time, one time. And you're wondering, like, how can I get out of this? What can I do? Well, one thing that I like to do is take a moment, take a deep breath. I know that it's crazy, but people sometimes, I think we often forget to breathe. We get so worked up in games and we get so worked up in coaches that we forget to breathe. And I just would like for you to take a moment, take a breath, and say, okay, me getting mad at my coach isn't going to work. Me getting mad at the officials isn't going to work. So who am I going to rely on to? Now that's when you have to dig deep and find what is it inside that makes you remember why you wanted to play in the first place. Why you wanted to play in the first place. And if you go to a teammate and if you have a close person, I remember on my team, I had who's like my best friend. Yes, I was very close to my teammates, but I always had that one person that I was really close to that I could rely on. And I went and I'm like, listen, we've got a lot going on right now. Coach isn't doing what we're supposed, isn't really feeding us. The referees are not on our side. Our teammates are not really doing it. So what can we do to pull it together? How can we rally each other up? And that's when you look to each other and you say, you know what? We can do it. You and I can do it. Kelly, you and I can do it. Ruben, you and I can do it. We can rally each other up and we can dig deep to find what it is so that we can get through this game. Because you know what? Everything is not going to go our way. And that's just the rules of life. Everything is not going to go our way, but we have to continue to honor ourselves, honor the game, and really remember why we came together. Because it's not about always having that win attitude of like, I must win the ball game. I got to do this and da-da-da-da-da. You're putting too much pressure on yourself. That's when we got to go back to it. Just breathe. Just breathe. Again, so inside of it, if everybody just take that moment, take a deep breath with me. And there we are. And then, see? And already your mind is clear. You're like, how your mind is clear. You've come up with a new idea that you didn't even know because you've allowed yourself to take out some of the anxiety that's in it and some of the things to calm yourself down where you can now gain control over this. You can gain control over the game and over honoring this. I don't know. I wanted to really, yes. Next, yes. Yes. So honoring the game, we come up with a toolkit. And in PCA, we have the double coach moment of truth. You have your model and you teach, which is honor the game. Your self-control routine, which is what we just did, which is our breathing. That's part of the self-control. Breathing, talking through it. Sometimes we talk to us. How many of you guys talk to yourselves out loud? Have you ever talked to yourself before? Kelly, have you ever talked to yourself before? Yes.
All the time.
Yes. So when we talk to ourselves, it's just we're being our own coaches. Sometimes you have to learn how to be your own coach in life when you talk to yourself. And so that's part of the self-control routine. And then you're narrating your narrated modeling. So I wanted to go back to honoring the game is honoring yourself. It starts with you. It always starts with you. Even when it comes to coaches and parents and anything, if I want my child to succeed in life, I have to remember that I have to be the model that I want them to be. I have to learn to honor myself. I have to honor, love myself so that I can be the model that I want them to do so that they can carry it on. And then from there, we go to the teach. So you teach about the rules. And once you have all these things broken down, then you can be able to go to your parents and you can have a meeting with the parents and say, not only am I teaching your child when they're away from you or, how to honor the game, but parents, I would like for you to honor the game. I would like for you to honor yourself and be a model. And if you bond a relationship with the parents and see that it's a family, you've already taken out you've already broken so many molds and barriers, and you've already, you've already have a winning season before even starting. So that's what I look at when I think of, models and coaches and what I want them to be. And I want people to realize that in doing all of that, that's how PCA, we like to say, we create triple impact competitors. And when you create those triple impact competitors, those are competitors that you can go out to in life and go do those great things. Because you're now able to take the tools that you've learned from playing the different sports and from the PCAA, and you can go and accomplish anything in life. I really believe it. I stand by these principles. I am a living example that they do work. And I really just want everyone to take it and apply them, and just really do it. So in closing, I just want you to take a moment and think of one word that describes the coach that you want to be, the legacy that you want to be, just one word. If I think of Pat Summitt, I think of a trailblazer. So yes, take a few moments, and then I'm gonna ask you. So Kelly, what's one word that comes to mind when you think of that, like the coach and honoring the game? What's that one word?
It's hard to come up with.
Say it
I
one more
want to
time.
nurture my athletes.
Yeah.
Nurturing is what I was thinking of.
Yeah.
I want to be a nurturer. I
Yes.
want to be the person that they can come to when they're scared and upset, but also the person they can come to for advice or come to learn something. So that's the first word that popped into my mind.
I love it. I love that word. And what about you, Ruben?
Leader.
Yes. So we both said trailblazer, nurturing. We have leader. And all three of those are powerful tools that you want to be, that we wanted to have, and when you think about a coach and honoring the game and our legacy, and I think of those. So I've lost my place a little bit. Just got to talking. Kelly, I don't lost my place.
That's really the end of honoring the game. That's okay. That's the end of honoring the game. The next couple slides are the end of the workshop.
Oh, yes. Okay, perfect.
You've got about 2 or 3 minutes left if you want to say something about that, or if not, it's okay.
No, well, you know what? After we do the honor of the game, I just wanted to leave you with just leave you with something. I wanted to leave you with a piece of with a question that when you walk out of here, with everything that we've discussed, I want you to ask the question, not do you know if you can fly, but have you ever flown before? Those two questions. And if I want you to think about those questions. Have you, not if you can fly, we all know, but have you ever flown before? And what I mean by that is, have you ever flown and lived up to your true self and being the best that you can be in honoring in the game and in the game of life? And so I would like to say thank you for this time. I hope that you've left feeling inspired and that you're ready to go, and that you are able to go and make an impression on your players, and not only on yourself but in their lives and in the community, so that we can all be positive team coaches, because that's what our world needs today, is more leaders, trailblazers. With so much turmoil that's going on in the world, we need to come together in unity. And why not start in the game? And why not start right here at a place with PCA? Thank you, guys.
All right. Thank you. Thank you. All right, let me get this off here.
Let me get my pens for my notes.
Okay. Let me stop sharing this screen here. There we go.
There you are. Hi.
All right. Hi there. How did you feel doing it that way, Joy, with the PowerPoint behind you? Did that help keep you on track? Did you feel like you stuck to it pretty well?
Yes. It kept me on track. And then I also felt myself, you know how we speak of filling our emotional tanks?
Mm-hmm.
I'm a person that's full of so much stuff, and as I'm staying on course and as I begin to connect or like look out or see you guys, there would be so much more that would come up, and I would be like, okay, I don't want to begin to ramble, but like I was just feeling so moved that I'm like, wait, I want to tell them this, and I'm like, no, I don't want to get. So all these thoughts are going on in my head, which is part of being an artist. Like I have all these, instruments that move. But overall, I felt good. I felt like I can do this. Like as I was teaching, speaking to you guys and showing you the principles, I was like, wow, I can do this, and I do love this, and this is what I want. I felt so moved to have everybody do it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm rambling.
That's okay. That's okay. That is the hard part for many trainers, is because we have so much experience and so much passion for this subject. And when you try to do it in line with the workshop, the way that we have it set up and the outline and the framework, it's hard to know when to share your own personal experience and when to rely on the audience to give us their personal experience, and when to rely on the PCA material. So that is definitely a fine balance. And you did a better job at sticking to the PCA content. I think there's still room to grow in that.
Absolutely.
And I'll give you some specifics. I wanted to see if Ruben wanted to start with his comments before I give you mine.
No, Kelly. Why don't you go, and then if I have anything to add, I'll do so.
Okay. Well, Joy, I know Ruben hasn't seen you before, but Joy, I'm so impressed by your communication skills and your passion and your just the way you exude confidence in what you're talking about. But you're also so emotive, and I love that. I love that I can just feel, the way you're moving and talking, and you can tell that you're good at what you do. And that's what I loved about you when I saw you the other night. And my concern was, can you take that and make it into the PCA framework? Because they're two separate things, and it is a challenge. It's a challenge to do. And I think, as I said, I think you did better. I don't think you're quite there yet with the content, and I think that will come the more that you understand the content and how the principles work together. Reason being, I think you could keep any audience, you could keep their attention for a long time based on just your passion and your stories. But these are 2-hour workshops, which are long. And if you want the audience, we need the audience. We're educators. We really are. We're educators. And we need the audience to leave with a certain framework in mind that they can in their brains, when they leave, they can say, okay, I got it. There's 3 principles. I understand how they work together. I understand what I need to do. I have tools to use them. And it's got to be real clear. Now, to get that point across to them is when we add in what you have. You add your emotion. You add your passion. You add your own flavor to it and your own flair to it. And then you also have to bring in the audience and their examples and their emotions. So if I said about those 3 things, about the content, about your passion and emotion, and about bringing the audience into it, which one would you say that you'd need the most work with?
I have 2 that I think I need the most. Audience, and the just more of the content of the PCA.
Yeah,
like
I would agree.
Yeah, so I have 2. Like those 2.
Yeah, I would definitely agree, and I would say in that order too. I think, I get wrapped up in your story. I get wrapped up on what you're saying. I got wrapped up in the breathing and the thinking and the visualizing, and that is all awesome. I love that. But when it comes to, you asked Ruben, and I think you asked us 2 questions, and they were good questions. They were just a little deep. Like the one question, I was like, gosh, I don't know how I would answer this. This is tough. And you have to realize sometimes, and this is something I've learned, that the deep and the passion that you have, the audience doesn't always relate to.
Got it.
A lot of times they're coming from work. They've had a long day. They're tired. And they need things really simple in order to warrant a great discussion. I've asked some questions sometimes to the audience, and I'm thinking, this is a great question. And they look at you with a blank stare. And then I'm like, okay, let me rephrase this. And you just have to really make it simple. I laugh that I taught 3rd grade for many years, and that comes in more handy with these workshops than anything else. Because if you kind of talk to the audience, make it a real simple question for them, then you'll get more out of them that you can elaborate on later. So that would be my first comment, to bring out some more out of us. Have us, like when you had us turn to a partner and say you're a winner, like I think that's great. Now maybe turn to the other partner on the other side. What makes you a winner? There's a great discussion right there. Some people would say what makes me a winner is just the scoreboard. Other people will say I'm a winner because I get better every day. So that might be even a good discussion, just something to get us talking. I like how you brought in current. I love how you talked about Pat Summitt. You talked about Candace Parker. I mean, that is current right now. You can tell. I mean, I love the way you even talked about how your mom used to bring you on dates to the games. Like, I think that is so cool. So I would leave that in there. I think that's great. The other thing too with so when you went through roots, the rules, opponents, teammates, and self, you went through them all at once. We are talking about honoring the game, but when we talk about those 5 areas, we talk about respect for each of those areas, and we talk about that in terms of, you have to remember we're talking to coaches, so we're teaching the coaches to set the bar high in your expectations, that your players will respect the rules, they will respect their opponents, they will respect their officials, they will respect their teammates, and they will respect themselves. So I think it was okay that you brought in self first, but I think the idea of self kind of overshadowed everything else so strongly that we almost missed out on, like, if a coach was at your workshop saying, all right, how do I teach my players to respect the rules of the game? Got it. Like, I didn't get that from you, from that section. Or how do I actually model respect for opponents? I didn't quite get that. So that's what we want the coaches to kind of wrestle with in terms of content. We want them to walk out of your workshop going, all right, I know the 5 areas. Am I doing a good job at teaching my players how to respect those 5 areas? Did Joy help me understand how to do that? Mm-hmm. And that's more specific content that I'm talking about. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. Okay. So that was it. Again, my comment would be, I liked one word to describe you as a coach. I thought that was great as well. I think that was a challenging question for me to think, if I had to pick one word, what would it be? I thought that was a great question to ask. So again, just practice sticking tighter to the content. The other thing, and this is what, and then I'll let Ruben take over. I'm rambling now. But the other thing is the scenario, when you talked about the officials, that scenario when the officials were riding the coaches and then a bad call was called against you, there's a great opportunity for you to put it right out to the audience right away. I don't even give my answer to that. I don't even give like you talked about, taking a deep breath. That's great. I don't even give any of my input until the audience has shared their ideas first. Okay. So, you can read through the scenario, you can paraphrase it like you did. I thought that was fine. But that's an opportunity for the audience to practice, share their practices. What do they do? Because when you're in a room, you only have your coaching experience. When you're in a room of coaches, you might have 100 years of experience of coaching in the room. So some of the best parts of the workshop are letting the audience and the coaches share their ideas. That's what makes my workshops great, not the stories that I have, but the stories that I can pull out of the audience. That's what makes it really, that's what makes the workshop come alive. Got it. Yep. Ruben, take over.
Yeah, I don't have too much to add because my experience was similar to Kelly's. Yeah, gosh, your energy, your emotion, your personality, what strengths you have there, Joy, and using current, Pat Summitt's passing is a current event, and so tapping into that. I don't know Pat Summitt as well as you. I'd be interested in knowing, as a workshop participant, getting an example of how Pat Summitt honored the game. You said, Pat Summitt really honored the game. And okay. I believe you, but I don't know how she honored the game. Okay. Or Candace Parker. Candace Parker she really honored the game. Maybe an example of something one of them did would bring it to life for me. Okay. Yeah, and then as far as content, I like your self-awareness, Joy, that you feel like you can still get stronger with your knowledge of the PCA content, and then with truly pulling the participants in and turning over the workshop to us. I think that's awesome that you have that self-awareness. Content is a challenge because there's a lot there, and you have to pick your spots. However, if you mention narrated modeling, then we don't. No one's going to know what narrated modeling is, and so at that point, you either have to give us a brief explanation of what narrated modeling is, or say, I've covered this tool. These next two, I want you to look in your book and. And then you mentioned, triple impact competitor coaches. We want you to develop triple impact competitors. So it's possible that you would have explained what a triple impact competitor is before in the workshop, but if you haven't and you use that term,
they would be like, "What is that? What is that?
What's a triple impact competitor?" So And then, again, with content, it's so tough because you got to make some choices. But to me, respect for officials has to be given a little bit of time.
Got
To
it.
me, it's one of the great challenges in sports, especially youth sports, is coaches and spectators being disrespectful of the officials. And so somehow, some way, spending a little more time on that.
Okay.
It could be as simple as, how many, raise your hand if you think it's important to show respect for officials. Almost everybody's going to raise their hand, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you've engaged everybody, gotten everybody to raise your hand. Okay, well, I agree with you. How do you show respect for officials? Because they make mistakes, they make controversial calls. So what does respect for officials look like in that moment?
Mm-hmm.
So it could be as simple as asking 2 questions, and getting some voices and moving on. So to summarize, I'm just the feedback I have for you is very consistent with your own self-assessment and with what Kelly shared with you.
Mm-hmm. Well, I got it. Perfect. Yeah, I was like, after talking and everything, I'm like, yep, this is what I need to work on, or this is definitely where things can be improved. But I feel like I'm in a good space. Like, I don't feel like I'm defeated or like, oh, I'm really lost, or like a long way from the mark. I don't feel like I'm far from it at all.
No, you're definitely on the mark, and you're pretty much where a lot of people are in your shoes. But what we want you to be fantastic in all ways. That's our
Absolutely.
goal. So, and that's my goal.
I
this
love
is
it.
what I want. I want you to be awesome in all ways. And you've got so many pieces of the puzzle already in place.
Yes.
It's really the PCA piece that is just, it's studying, it's practicing, it's knowing the content, it's reading the book. I mean, I think I read that Double Goal Coach 1 book literally 5 times cover to cover before I did my first workshop, because I wanted to know it. And
are there any workshops coming up soon where you or either Ruben are speaking at, or somebody where I can just watch?
Sure, absolutely.
Well, you're not going to see me or Kelly because we're not in. But in Los Angeles, there's workshops happening all the time, and so you just reach out to Marty and Alan and say, hey, I want to get out and see trainers. I want to see workshops. And
I'll let you know when they are too. I can. Sonia is our trainer manager, and she will send a list to you that tells you when the workshops are. And we have a couple people that have finished the course, and we have felt like they know the content so well. We've sent them out there to co-facilitate at a workshop, so they might do one principal at a live workshop. There's other people that have said, I want to watch a workshop first because I've never really seen one from beginning to end. So if that's where you are, we would be fine. I think it's great for you to go out and watch a full. Have you seen a workshop?
Want to watch, or just to see, and then just see how it is, and before I do it. But I don't see myself, like, I see it soon that I'll be able to do it. But
So Joy, you have not seen a live PCA workshop?
No.
Yeah.
Have you seen one on video? Have you seen any on videotape? Have you seen Kelly on videotape, or have you seen me on videotape?
Yes, I've seen those, and then I watched and I got to see the other guy that was with me, Steven.
Yes.
Did really well, and his approach and how he really knew the content and really, like,
That was in a hangout? No.
Steven did it live in the LA office when Joy went. Steven went the same day.
Steven Christensen.
Yes.
And it was really it was done well. And a lot of it, honestly, it comes down to, after you know that, it's just trusting. Like that trusting, like, okay, you got this, and you know it well enough to be like, okay, I trusted enough to get it out there and to do.
Yeah, and a lot of it too. I mean, go ahead.
Trust and comfort with the content go hand in hand. And what you're talking about, observing other trainers, Joy, I mean, all of us, Kelly, Ruben, the newest trainers, we all benefit so much from seeing other trainers and observing workshops and soaking it in and going, wow, Ray does it this way. I think I'll try that. And gosh, that's not how I saw Kelly do it. I wonder why. So I think your idea of getting out and observing some workshops is super important now, but that will never change as long as you're a PCA trainer. Observing your peers is always going to be super beneficial.
Got it.
Yeah. So what I'll do is I will I have a list of when the workshops are in Southern California, so I can send you a list of when they are,
Perfect.
and you can pick one that works with your schedule, and
Okay.
then I'll tell Sonia when. Oh, sorry. When Sonia returns, she'll be able to weekly give you updates on when the workshops
Okay.
are. So when you feel like you're ready to go out and do one of the principles at a live workshop, let us know, and we'll be able to get you hooked up with somebody that can help you do we start with just one principle, and that
Yes.
makes it easy because you can just focus on that one, and
Perfect.
then we'll build you up from there. But
Perfect.
also, I know I just went back and checked, and you weren't able to get on any of the Google Hangouts that we did for the course.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know if you had a chance to go back and watch those, but each week I just took one principle and I just focused on that one principle for the 1 hour hangout, and I demonstrated how I would facilitate that at a workshop, and then we shared some ideas for the second half on how different ideas, ways to do it. So if you need any of those links, let me know. They're all on the Google group if you want to go back and check
Yes.
the announcements. But those are good to watch too. I've had people that are going out now to do like just the e-tank, and they've asked me for that. Can you send me that link again from that week, because they want to watch it again to practice.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
they're good
Okay.
resources for you.
Yay.
Yay! Well, Joy, I appreciate you taking the time to do this again.
Me too. Me too. Me too. Yay.
And we're
Thank you
here as
both.
many times as you want. So thank you, Ruben, very much.
I sure will.
All
Thank you,
right.
guys.
Yep. Take care.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.